Hello, I'm Adrian Finnegan, and this is Counting the Cost on Al Jazeera, your weekly look at the world of business and economics. This week, Europe has turned to Africa to replace Russian gas. It's now looking at the continent's green hydrogen potential to make the shift to renewables. But can African countries fill the energy gap? Also this week, the US, China and Russia are racing for political and economic influence on the continent, but at what cost? Plus, playing catch-up, Washington and Beijing are also competing for Africa's rare earth elements, which are critical to the production of renewable technologies. As Europe shuns Russian energy supplies, it's increasingly turning to Africa to find alternatives. The continent has vast natural gas reserves, but supplies only 6% of fossil fuel globally. African governments and businesses want to capitalize on the opportunity created by the war in Ukraine. But critics warn that millions of Africans lack electricity and supplies are much needed at home. Kulsum Sharif reports.
Since Russia invaded Ukraine last year, several European leaders have visited African countries. They are looking for alternative energy suppliers. And the continent has some of the world's deepest natural gas reserves. Analysts say a lack of investment in energy infrastructure and security threats from armed groups have hampered development. But the war in Ukraine has presented an opportunity, one Algeria and Italy are already exploring.
The
aim is to increase energy exports from Algeria to Italy and potentially onto Europe, including finding solutions to increase the volume of gas transported, a new pipeline that would also transport hydrogen, a new electrical undersea cable, and increased production of liquefied natural gas.
Senegal too is stepping up, increasing exports of LNG, liquefied natural gas to Germany from 2.5 million tonnes this year to up to 10 million by 2030, which, it's hoped, will create much-needed employment.
We want to be able to have, whenever it comes to decision-making, this is project for Senegal, for the development of the country, and it's important that we have our Senegalese national sitting at the table.
Some believe Europe's pivot towards Africa could solve the continent's own supply problems. The International Energy Agency estimates about 600 million Africans don't have power, while 900 million have no access to clean fuels for cooking.
We often have trouble getting electricity, but we think that with this plant, this will change little by little.
Currently, African countries provide around 20% of Europe's gas, and the energy crisis is fueling hope that the continent can increase its share. Kulsum Sharif, Al Jazeera, for Counting the Cost.
Joining us now from Johannesburg is NJ Ayok. He's the executive chairman at the African Energy Chamber. Good to have you with us, NJ. How much of an opportunity for African countries has the war in Ukraine provided in terms of energy supplies?
The war in Ukraine has actually drained African energy supplies because there's been massive demand for a lot of natural gas going into Europe, in the sense that natural gas could have been used to either being exported or used with getting LNG across Africa to really power Africa. But Europe has been the biggest consumer of African natural gas. You've seen gas sales increase from Equatorial Guinea to Nigeria to Mozambique, actually shipping some of its first shipments from its floating LNGs into Europe and Algeria as well. So Europe has become Africa's biggest consumer of natural gas since the war in Ukraine started.
Africa has massive reserves, but does it have the capacity to ramp up supply?
It doesn't have the capacity to ramp up supply because there has been a massive underinvestment in African natural gas. For a long time, African natural gas has been put on a back foot because there has been issues around climate concerns. There have been lack of investment, underinvestment around exploration for natural gas, and even infrastructure development like the Nigeria pipeline going through Morocco and Algeria had not been developed, and new pipelines going in from Nigeria through West Africa and Senegal, Mauritania had not been developed. A lot of gas fields that are being stranded and have not seen that investment. That has been the problem for Africa right now. And I think right now we need to start thinking about having a game changer and really ramp up financing for infrastructure development and gas development. And floating LNGs are seen as a fast-track solution for right now for Africa.
Where's that investment going to come from? Given the massive potential for profit here, you'd think that people would be knocking the door down to invest in Africa right now.
Well, I think the biggest issue around where people will be looking at investing in Africa around natural gas, you've seen massive gas reserves being found in Namibia, in Mozambique. Nigeria still has great potential with the Petroleum Industry Act that has been passed right now. They need to really see that financing, but we also have to take into consideration some of the strangleholds of financing. But Africans have to also do a part. They have to cut red tape, create an enabling environment, and really do deals faster, sign new deals, but also in a sense where it shouldn't take too long to approve a project and the time it's needed to build that project. And we need to look as Africans, we need to start thinking about how we address issues around resource nationalism. It doesn't work. And when we do those things, investment will flow in even during these difficult moments.
Critics, though, NJ, say that Africa needs to fix its internal supply problems first before it exports its resources to other countries. I mean, how do African governments strike a balance?
There is a healthy balance that can be done here. 600 million Africans don't have access to electricity. 900 million have no access to clean cooking technologies, most of them women. The continent is still seeing massive underdevelopment and industrialization. So that natural gas, it's needed. We can strike that healthy balance to really deliver gas to our European partners, and also at the same time be able to drive not just gas to power projects, but also petrochemicals and all of that. But it all gets linked up towards investment, but also the climate, the polarization that we're seeing around the world when it comes to gas. It's really hurting Africa the most because gas is being polarized. At the same time, the same European countries have declared gas green, and gas is green for Europe, but not green for Africa. And we need to be very careful about it. Even coal, that they're telling us to abandon coal, they are using coal to power Europe right now, while in South Africa today, they're going 8 to 10 hours with no electricity and blackouts per day. So we need to find that balance, and we need to curb down on the polarization that we see. And some of the politicians need to watch their language.
In the scramble for natural gas, is Europe ignoring Africa's potential for renewable energy sources?
Absolutely. Africa has vast potential for renewable sources. We just started this conversation talking about green hydrogen. There's amazing amounts of potential to really deliver green hydrogen and maybe green ammonia into Europe and within Africa, and really drive that low carbon economy that can really deal with heavy industries. Look at Morocco, some of the projects happening there, Egypt, Algeria, but come right down to Southern Africa, South Africa, Namibia. They've seen amazing amounts. Some of the biggest green hydrogen deals have been signed in Mauritania and Senegal, and that great potential that has to come. But we also have to pay attention to the fact that even if we're going to move in this green economy and low carbon economy, Africa has seen less than 2% of global investment in renewables. That is not right. That needs to be increased, and that needs to be ramped up if you're going to really achieve a just energy transition. You can't tell Africans to decarbonize, which there's nothing to decarbonize, but at the same time, you're not matching those words with financing, with funding. And we're not talking aid. We're talking real credit lines. We're talking financing and investments that will really go on and give Africa a fighting chance to really industrialize, while some of the wealthy nations can decarbonize at this time.
NJ, it's been great to talk to you on Counting the Cost. Many thanks indeed for being with us.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be with you.